Radio Bypass, bringing you rock and roll music that deserves to be heard. Discover new bands. Here's some old favorites on Radio Bypass.
Hey guys, our guest today on Radio Bypass has lived multiple chapters of rock history, from the Scream to Motley Crue to currently the Dead Daisies, and now he's stepping fully into his own with a brand new solo album called New Day. The record is soulful, honest, and packed with classic rock spirit. Sit back, turn this up, and hang out with us. I got John Corabi returning to Radio Bypass. How you doing, man?
I'm good, buddy. That was a great introduction. I don't know if I can live up to those expectations.
Well, you did. This new album of yours, I cannot wait for it to be unleashed upon the world, because it is a fabulous piece of work, John.
Thank you.
One of the things that I was thinking as I'm listening to it today is, you've been making music a long time. I mean, the Scream was, 1991? So you've been at this for a while. And I was just curious, because I got so excited upon hearing this album. Does releasing a new album still give you like a nervous, excited feeling?
Yeah, you always, it's funny. Well, first of all, I mean, I'm super proud of the record. Loved working with Marti Frederiksen. And we just had fun doing this album. And as I was saying earlier, like, the only thing that we had in mind was writing a record that really the suits and the people that listen to, like, you can't really put it in a box. It doesn't go into classic or that or this box or that, whatever.
Right.
So that was really the only thing we had in mind, but we had a great time doing it. And you always think, when you sit back and you listen to it in its entirety, and you're happy with it, you always go, this is going to be the one that's going to put me over the top or make me the household name. You know what I mean? Whatever your thing is. But I'm stupidly excited about this thing. And again, the reviews, like, it's kind of crazy, because I haven't heard any negative thing about this at all. So
I can't imagine you would.
I'm excited. Well, listen, even classic records, there's always that one song or two songs you go, that's what they make the skip button for. But I'm not getting that, though. Everybody that's interviewed me has the entire record. They've listened to it. And I mean, I've gotten positive reviews from every person that I've done interviews with, even the responses for the songs that have been released on YouTube, right, Spotify. People are writing to me that heard the stuff now, and it's just been great. I'm stoked. I couldn't be happier.
That's awesome. Well, then I would say releasing a new album does still give you an excited feeling.
Yeah, I mean, it's. Yeah, because it's like you're sitting here listening to a song like, we were just talking about New Day. It was like a seed. Like we had a riff. And then it's like, okay, we map it out. Okay, now we have a map. Here's the chorus. And then I go and write the lyrics, and then I sing it. And then we add the backing vocals and the guitar solos and the piano, and you do all this stuff, and you're like, you just watch this thing grow, and it's like, it's really exciting from a creative point of view. You get to watch this go from an idea to a fully finished song.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah, I still get tickled about all of it.
That's awesome. And I told you before we started recording here how I love the optimism of New Day, and it's a very optimistic song and song title. And I was kind of curious, where did that come from?
Without being too preachy, it's just for multiple reasons. This is me kind of, everything else I've done before, I've done in the I don't want to say confines, but it's like how a band operates. You know, you bring an idea to a band and the guitar player goes, well, I think I should do the solo like this, or I think I should, let me change the key. I don't like soloing in that key. And, you know, so you're constantly making compromises. So for me, it was really cool to be able to be the captain of my own ship.
Mm-hmm.
Even with Marti, as instrumental as Marti was, helping me put this together as far as the writing, producing, it always came down to what I wanted. He's like, well, what do you want, dude? Like, are you, I got this idea, but do you think that that's cool? And I'd be like, okay, let's try it. And then we'll make the decision. But ultimately, it came down to my decision. And so I was super stoked about that. And then writing this stuff, it was just kind of, again, without being too preachy, just talking about how I try to live my life.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've had some great things happen. You know, for example, one of the greatest things was getting the Motley gig.
Right.
But at the same time, it was horrible losing the Motley gig.
Right.
But I learned lessons along the way. Like, I realized after losing the Motley gig that a lot of the people that were surrounding me in that time frame weren't really good friends.
Not sincere.
And sincere and people that I could rely on.
Mm-hmm.
So I learned very early on in my career, like, just kind of how to look at the glass half full, not half empty, try to find the positives in everything. And, you know, there's a line in the song, don't sit there whining. You know what I mean? It's
Right.
like, just nothing's going to change unless you change it. So just keep working hard, plowing forward, looking forward, don't look back. It's all the cliches that our parents told us when we were younger.
They are all
You know
true.
what I mean? But it's, yeah, when life hands you lemons, squeeze the shit out of them and add some vodka and move forward, whatever. So it's just, I kind of try to lead my life. We all get bummed out about things. I'm guilty of it as well. But at the end of the day, I just sit there and go, okay, I need to write the best song I can, sing it the best I can, record it the best I can, mix it the best I can. And now I'm going to hand it to a record label that believes in me. I believe in them. And now it's out of my hands. Whatever happens, happens.
Right.
You know, so just be positive. Hopefully, again, this will be the one that really puts me on the map. And if it isn't, there's always the next one.
Well, it definitely deserves to be. And it is kind of interesting, too. In a way, this is a rebirth for you in a sense. And where I'm going with that, maybe rebirth is not quite the right word, but this is, in your whole career, this is technically a debut album because you've never released a solo album of new material like this.
Well,
right? Studio material.
that is correct. And correct and incorrect at the same time. Like, I have done solo records. I did an acoustic record, you know, 10, 12 years ago, whatever it was. And yeah, there was a few songs on there that were older songs that I reworked, did an acoustic version. But probably 60% of the record was new material.
Okay.
But this is the first one with drums, full instruments, full tilt, like all new material.
Right.
And one cover that we'll talk about later.
Yes, we'll get to that.
So it's a washy statement, but yes, this is my first full-blown, full band solo record.
Yeah, that's kind of how I was thinking of it, okay, and then I was thinking too when and I think you've already kind of answered this, but when you were starting to put together the material for this record and writing it, did you have a concept in mind of any sort, or did it kind of reveal itself a few songs in?
Yeah, it was just, again, I've always been, as much as I love the AC/DCs and the Metallicas, Iron Maiden, you know what I mean? I love those bands. But I've always kind of leaned more towards the eclectic. I love bands like Led Zeppelin. You would listen to one track, you're hearing, Black Dog.
Right.
Then the next track is, Going to California. Then it's Heartbreaker. Then it's, the Rain Song. And then it's Dancing Days, Rock and Roll, whatever, Kashmir.
Right.
So I love being able to bring different elements into this thing. But I guess like I said earlier, the one thing that I was adamant about was not being put into any box, which is why I did the acoustic record I did first. I had a lot of, I don't want to say slack or flack from people that are like, why would you do an acoustic record? And I just felt,
why not?
well, I get that, but in my mind, that was a way. This is going to sound really weird. As much as I love the Scream and Union and Motley Crue, this was a way of me just taking an eraser and erasing everything I had done before and starting new.
Gotcha.
So I did an all acoustic, not even any drums on it. Just strip it down as much as I could and start fresh, so that nobody knew at that point. I wasn't gonna get people to go, when I did do this record, they weren't gonna go, oh, this doesn't sound anything like the Motley record, or it doesn't sound anything like Union, or whatever. It was, so I did an acoustic record first to just erase everything and kind of start over and kind of, yeah, you know what I mean? And then that way, now when people look at this record, they're not really going to have a preconceived notion of what it should sound like. It's just, now just enjoy the record as it is right now in 2026. Enjoy it, because 2027 might be something completely different. I have no idea.
Right. I get that. Well, that makes sense to me. And obviously, I mentioned even in the intro about this being kind of a classic rock feel to the record and everything. Was that sound kind of intentional?
Well, when we wrote the songs, now here's a thing. I apologize if my answers are long.
That's okay.
Some people may look at this record and go, well, I wasn't expecting this. But I think if you go back all the way to the beginning, to the Scream, and you take away the production on each record and just look at the songwriting, you'll see that this record, elements of this record have kind of touched on the Scream. When you look at Father, Mother, Son, I Never Loved Her Anyway. You look at Motley, that record I did, Drift Away, Love Shine, Misunderstood.
I love that song, by the way. Misunderstood.
Yeah, Union. Yeah. I had Robin's song, October Morning Wind. So there were softer elements always through all of the stuff that I've done. And again, the only thing, my thing is, like, Marty's like, well, what do you want to do? I go, no boxes. I grew up listening to everything from Sabbath to, God, Glenn Campbell, Frank Sinatra, you know, led the Rat Pack, you know what I mean?
Sure.
I listened to pop stuff, you know, Eric Carmen, the Raspberries,
Jackson 5.
Jackson 5, Sly and the Family Stone. I listened to everything. So I loved a lot of that stuff, even country stuff, Johnny Cash, you know, the original country outlaws,
Right.
Waylon, Willie, Johnny Cash. And so I like it all.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to do a classic rock record where you can hear a little bit of all of it. So I said, I don't want to fit in any one box. I want to fit in all of them.
Gotcha. I love that. You're taking
kind of like the old bull, young bull story.
Uh-huh.
And it's like there's a young bull and an old bull standing on a mountain, and they're looking down, and there's a bunch of cows in the valley. And the young bull says, let's run down there and fuck one of them. And the old bull says, slow down there, buddy. Let's walk down and fuck them all.
I don't think I've ever heard that before.
Well, there you have. There's a new old man wisdom right there.
Well, thanks, John. I appreciate that. That's funny. You know, lyrically, I've been, you know, really impressed with the lyrics throughout this album as well. And I was wondering, is there a song on this record that feels the most personal to you?
They all do to a degree. You know, like, I mean, even this new one that just came out yesterday, When I Was Young. Marty and I both have sons. We both have kids, you know, whatever. But, you know, I think this lyrically and the whole concept of what the song is about could relate to a guy my age talking to his son or his daughter.
Right.
I just happen to say son, you know, but it could be even a mother talking to her daughter or her son. It's as you get older, you gain this wisdom and you start looking back at mistakes you made or accomplishments, and you're talking to your kids, your offspring, and you're saying, hey, look at this. This is how I did this, or this is how I did that. And here's the mistakes I made. Don't do this. Don't do that. You know, and it's just that transfer of wisdom that we all as parents try to instill on our kids.
Sure.
And send them forth and hope that they make the right choices. Right. So When I Was Young is kind of a, you know, it's an old guy like myself just reminiscing about his life in conversation with his son. So
Gotcha.
They all have like a touch of something that inspired me in my life. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's great. I mean, because when it's personal like that, I guess that's part of why your lyrics touched me the way they did too. Because, you know, you're speaking out of your heart, you know? So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. And it's like, I don't know. Like, I just, you know, I don't want to consider myself great, but that's what the great ones did for me.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Even a crazy song, like one of my all-time favorite songs is, you know, this Three Dog Night song called Mama Told Me Not to Come.
Oh, yeah. That's a great song.
Yeah, but when you listen to the lyrics, you think about these guys that are traveling the world, partying, jets, doing all this other kind of stuff. And the lyrics are so brilliant on that because he's talking about a party that just got out of control. And it's like, you know what? My parents told me about places like this, and I should not be here right now. Gotta go.
Right.
And, you know, so it's just those real experiences that you're able to put into into words that, I don't know. It just works.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
I've always loved stuff like stories. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, me too. Me too. And I've always been impressed that people can write lyrics, and you're one of them that can tell a story in just a few sentences. Really, like me, I tend to babble too much. I could never fit the message I'm trying to send into 3 or 4 minutes.
It is. There is. It's funny because it's like, what am I trying to say? Okay, so you got a verse, it's got 4 lines to it or 8 lines. Okay, I got to do that. Okay, now I got to have this big, closing statement, which would become the chorus. So it is a little difficult. And trust me, I sit here sometimes pulling my freaking hair out. Like, why is this? And now we've got all the dictionaries and okay, what, here's a word, give me 8 other words that mean the same thing, but different ways of doing it, So it's a bit of a task at times, but then there's other songs, like now you've had a chance to listen to the whole record. I got a song on the record. My wife was laughing at me, called it Good to Be Back Here Again.
Right.
And I literally wrote that song in like 35 minutes.
Really?
Yeah, I got a new guitar. I was trying it. And I don't know where it came from, universe, whatever God you believe in. But somebody went, bink. And it was, the first line came out, Jesus, forgive me for all of my sins. Okay. And then, so I put my guitar down, got my computer, and I sat there, got all the music mapped out. What am I trying to say? Well, it's a guy that's had, again, some mistakes in his life. It's that kid that grew up in small town, whatever. And he's like, oh man, I got to get out of this place. Everybody knows your business. Right. Everybody's nosy. I'm never going to make it here. Got to get out of town. And then they go live in the city for 20 years. And they realize that actually now I can appreciate that slower pace that I originally had. So it's like I went and made all these mistakes, and I realized I was happiest when I was right here. So you're just making this big circle.
Right.
You know what I mean? But the whole thing came in like 30 minutes.
That's awesome.
And then there's other songs that I have.
It took 30 years, right?
Exactly. I've still got unfinished songs that I started working on 10 years ago. Right. And I'm like, I don't know, whatever. It'll come at some point. But it's just sometimes it's a chore and sometimes it's a blessing.
Right.
Who knows?
Yep. Yeah, who knows exactly. And then working again, you've worked with Marty before, and you're working with him on this record. And I was curious, is there something that he understands about you that maybe other producers wouldn't? Do you think?
No, because honestly, I've never had, of all the records I did, I didn't have I maybe I'm blessed, but I've never had a bad experience with a producer. Mm-hmm. But I just love Marty's demeanor. He's funny. I kid around with him because I'm like, I laugh because I tell everybody, they're like, hey man, what's Marty like? I go, did you ever see Scooby-Doo? They're like, yeah. I go, think about Shaggy. That was like Shaggy, this tall, lanky, wear bell bottoms. And instead of a Scooby snack, it's just an edible. Just throw an edible towards Marty and he's happier than a pig in shit. But he's so talented, it's ridiculous. Mm-hmm. And he truly, if you think about it, he's a great producer and he gets to know who it is that he's working with. But he's adaptable. Like if you sit and look at it, he's worked with Motley, he's worked with Def Leppard, he worked with Ozzy, writing and producing songs with those guys. But he's also worked with Faith Hill, Carrie Underwood, Tim McGraw, and he's just got this vast knowledge of all music.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just sitting in a room with that guy. Him and I just click. I will literally sit in a room with him with nothing and leave 2 hours later with a really good idea for a song. It always happens.
That's great. So you had good chemistry, the two of you.
I love, and even when we're not working, you know, I have a couple of motorcycles. Marty's got a couple of motorcycles. Paul Taylor, a bunch of my buddies. And it's not unusual for Marty to just call me and go, "Hey, what are you doing, dude? Let's ride out to the Loveless Cafe and get something to eat." You know what I mean?
Right.
So we'll just take a putt for 2-3 hours and then come home. It's like, "All right, I'll see you tomorrow, bro. I'll be in the studio at 12. All right, cool. See ya." So we actually like each other.
Yes, obviously. Well, that's cool. That's cool. And then I think we may have kind of answered this. Like I told you, listening to the record in its entirety is just got all kinds of my juices flowing with questions to ask you. So I usually don't write too much down, but this time I wrote a few things down because I just think this is such a great record. I didn't want to leave anything off the table or forget after we hang up and say, "Oh shit, I forgot to ask John this." So one of the things, but I think we've kind of answered this, you know, with some of the huge chapters you've had in your career with the Scream, Motley, Dead Daisies, etc. I was going to ask you, but I think we've kind of answered it now, but maybe you tell me. I was going to ask you, how does this record reflect you right now?
Well, you know what? Here, this is something my wife said to me. Because after I listened to it, I'm like, "Oh my God, I love this record. I love this record." And then it was weird. Like a week later, I don't know what happened, but I just, for a moment, I had this. Well, I know everybody that knows me probably knows the biggest thing that I've done is the Motley record. And this doesn't sound anything like the Motley record.
No, it does not.
So I kind of had a moment, and my wife said, she kind of put it into perspective for me. She goes, "If anybody truly knows you and followed your career, even though this doesn't sound like the Motley record, it does sound like the Motley record. Because you had elements in, like we were saying earlier, in the Scream, in this." She goes, "But what this says to me is," she goes, you might lose a fan or two that are just like, "Oh, it's not heavy enough." She goes, "But I think you're going to gain for every fan that feels it isn't heavy enough. I think you're going to pick up 100 that can relate to this record."
I think that's
And I said,
wise.
"Okay." And she goes, "But you know what this record tells?" She goes, "You know what I get out of this record? This is John Corabi. This record is truly John Corabi, just John Corabi on his own, no compromising. This is what John Corabi is really all about."
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, "Okay, awesome. You know, killers." You know, it was, I needed that little kick in the ass because I got nervous about it for a minute. And now it's like, she's right. This is just me doing what I heard in my head, what I love, the stuff that I grew up listening to.
Yeah.
And again, even all the phones, I have 10,000 songs on my phone. And if you would laugh, because it's all Creedence, Sly and the Family Stone, Black Sabbath, Led Zeppelin, Grand Funk, Humble Pie, Free, Cream, like all that stuff that I was putting quarters in jukeboxes. Creedence, you know what I mean? That's what I grew up listening to. that's what I'm drawn to. That's what I wanted to do.
Yeah. Well, and I like the fact that this record is, like your wife said, a John Corabi record and not a Dead Daisy record with other players, right? Because you're doing a solo record and it's a different vibe and different feel. When we want the hard rock that we also love, that's, you got the Dead Daisies for that outlet. This is something different, and I love that. And we probably should just go ahead and segue right into the cover that you did, because Sly and the Family Stone have come up a couple of times now. And everybody on this album, it closes out with a Sly and the Family Stone cover. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that? My take on it was that it was super cool because it was not a heavy metal version of it. It was not a hard rock version of it. But it wasn't exactly what it was when it came out from those folks either. You kind of really put your own spin on it. So tell us about that.
Yeah, and it was funny because I wanted to do a cover and I wanted to find something that was like old school. And, I was thinking Creedence, and then I go, well, no, I already did that with the Dead Daisies. We did Fortunate Son.
Right.
So I was like, and then it was weird. Obviously, Sly passed away a few months back, whatever. And I have his greatest hits, a bunch of his stuff on my phone. So when he passed, I started listening to it again. And I'm going to get a bit nerdy right now.
Go for it.
But I always loved Everyday People. I thought the lyrics were brilliant for the time, because it came out in 1969, and just like now, it was very divisive. You know this, I know this.
Yep.
So I always appreciated the lyrics, but I appreciated the fact that Sly Stone also, or Sly and the Family Stone, was a group that you couldn't really put in a box. It's like they were very capable of opening for Led Zeppelin if need be, but they could have also done, a night at the what's the legendary
Apollo? The Apollo
Theater? Yeah, they could have played the Apollo.
Yeah.
And it was like, I appreciated that. Now, the nerdy part of me is going to tell you, and if you play it all, I see the guitars on the back wall. This is a little Barstool trivia. Oh God, I'm still getting public safety alerts.
Well, yeah, folks, in case you don't know, Tennessee got hit hard with some storms these last few days. So yeah,
it's like overnight shelters available. Call for assistance.
I'm not going to lie. I fully expected to get an email canceling this for today. I really didn't know what your situation was, so I'm glad your power's on at your house at least.
It finally came on late last night, but so here's my nerdy trivia thing. So if you play, you'll understand this. Everyday People, always admired this, and I thought this just goes to show how brilliant Sly Stone was. So if you listen to the song, boom, 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 the entire song is in the key of G. It never changes chords.
Mm-hmm.
If you listen to it. And then he wrote this verse, which is so memorable. Sometimes I'm right and sometimes I'm wrong. So it's like a chorus for a verse. And then you have the na 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 na. So that's like a, memorable. That's like a chorus. Then you have the Everyday People thing. Then you have We Gotta Live Together. So there was like 4 back-to-back choruses over one chord for 2.5 minutes. I go, this guy was a genius. And it's like Marty and I were talking about it just being the little nerdy guys that we are. And I go, man, how awesome. Marty said it too. He goes, dude, one chord. And the guy built this amazing song out of it. We got to do that. And then we were sitting there going through his other songs, and we realized he not only did it once, he did it twice. He did it with Everyday People, and then a couple records later followed it up with Thank You for Letting Me Be Myself, which is in the key of E for the whole song. Never changes. And I go, guy was a genius. So
Right.
my wife was sitting there going, wait, you're going to cover Everyday People by Sly and the Family Stone? I go, yeah. She goes, all right, I got to see this. So Marty and I sat there. There may have been edibles involved. I'm not sure. But we just sat there and started playing it. And we kind of approached it with another, like, we kind of did a little bit of a blend. It's a Sly and the Family Stone song, but we approached it like T-Rex Bang a Gong.
That, I didn't think T-Rex when I heard it. I couldn't put my finger on what I'm hearing. That is a great, apt description right there.
Yeah, it's like, all right, what if T-Rex in the Bang a Gong version was doing a Sly and the Family Stone song? So we obviously, the original version has one chord for 2.5 minutes. Marty and I wanted to get a little creative, so we wrote a guitar solo part where it changes chords and it does a few different things, and then it comes back to the original groove. But we're like, let's do a T-Rex version of Bang a Gong, or Everyday People.
Everyday People, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what that is, man, wow, that's just blowing my mind now because I couldn't put my finger on it, what I was thinking, hearing it. That's it, though. That is it.
Yeah, and that's all we wanted to do. And if you really listen to it, towards the end of the song, we're having some fun with it. But I'm actually going, eh, 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 eh. So I'm playing it very much like Bang a Gong,
Right. Well, that's very inspired. Good job, you guys.
Listen, I was literally blowing the dust off a lot of records that were in my head.
I bet. And it's funny, Everyday People, you mentioning it, it came out in 1969. I hadn't thought about that earlier, but one of the tracks that I really love on the record, too. Well, I'm going to say this about every song because I love every song on the record, but one of the tracks is 1969. And I felt lyrically you really captured, I mean, I was just a little kid, so were you really at that point, but you captured what we'd see on the news at night and stuff like that before going to bed. I thought that was I didn't think about some of these things in a long time until hearing the song.
And it's funny because my wife, again, like I said, is a bit younger than me. And so Marty and I got the lyrics together, or the music together. And then I came home, and I don't know why, I was just, I just kept thinking at the end of the chorus saying, we ran through it all back in 1969.
Mm-hmm.
So I started putting the lyrics together, but it's funny, these were like, I don't know how old you are, but I was actually
just a couple of years younger than you, not much.
I was 10. Now there's in the second verse of that song, I talk about the Peace March that happened in Washington, D.C.
Mm-hmm.
But it was funny because I went to a Catholic school, and if you remember, or anybody's a history buff, you remember, like I said earlier, it was very, very divisive. You were either pro-war or not war, hippies, short hair, suit wearing, so everything was, everybody was fighting with each other. And I remember as a 10-year-old kid, we had a class trip. My entire school, every grade, they literally pulled up like 25 buses, and we all got into the buses and we went to Washington for the peace marches.
Oh, really? Oh,
So
that's
I was there.
interesting. Okay.
But it was funny now. I find myself now with like my son, my wife, this friend of mine that's helping me with, the video stuff that I'm doing. And they're like, okay, I gotta ask you some questions. What do these lyrics mean? And I go, well, it's kind of self-explanatory. What are you talking about? And they go, what does 5 for a nickel, 10 for a dime mean? And I go, that's what we paid for weed back in the day. Oh, okay. Well, who's Judy and Brian? Well, 1969, Judy Garland, the Wizard of Oz, Dorothy, she passed away. And Brian is Brian Jones from the Rolling Stones. He passed away. Oh, okay. And well, who's the Richard Nixon ran in 68. He was inaugurated in 69. Can you justify the boys we sent? That was the Vietnam War.
Obviously, yeah. And you got the John Lennon reference in there as well.
Yeah, there's the Lennon give peace a chance. That also came out in 69.
Right.
The moon landing.
Mm-hmm.
The hippie sang, the children danced. I'm talking about Woodstock, also 1969.
Right.
And it's just, now it's funny, I do make a reference to Creedence. It says, the fortunate sons got away from Nam, which is, that was a lot of the arguments in the 60s. But Fortunate Son also came out in 69 as well.
Right.
So there's all these little references to things that happened in 1969 that I clearly remember.
Mm-hmm.
And I had the chorus. We ran through it all back in 1969. Okay, let me just talk about some shit that happened and just put it all. So when I told my friend that's helping me with the video and my wife, they're like, fuck, dude, this is like a history lesson.
It is. It is.
Well, it's all on Google. You can look any one of these things up. It's right there.
Yep. Well, yeah, I mean, but it is a history lesson because, there's plenty of people now that weren't there at the time, And even for me, when I heard the song, it's like, wow, I kind of forgot. I did forget that a lot. I remembered each of the events, but not that they were all, not that all of that tied into just that one year. I mean, what a crazy year that is, I think about, we had this big riot in Chicago when I was like 6 or 7. That was like 1968. So I remember that year was 68.
That was the Democratic.
Yes, exactly.
The Democratic Convention, yeah.
With our then Mayor Daley, yeah. So, and I remember sitting in the kitchen with my grandma at her house. She's Italian, so making some pasta. I'm helping roll out the dough and stuff, and we got the radio on with the news, and she was so scared. She was just so scared that our whole city was going to blow up and stuff. What is going on, and why can't we all just, I always say peace, love, and rock and roll, and my grandma just always said, why can't we be peaceful, help each other, in her.
Well, and the crazy part of it is, like you were saying. That we can, here we are 60 years later.
And it's the same shit, kind of.
It's the same shit. We didn't learn a fucking thing.
I know.
So when you were talking about, how the lyrics come together, the music comes together, it's really it's kind of my life, my conversation with my son and when I was young, New Day, the positivity. It's just kind of how I live my life. But even 1969, I sit here all the time and I tell my wife, I go, I went through this in the 60s. Mm-hmm. And we're in the exact same place as the 60s. Everybody thought, God, if we get out of the 60s, we're going to be fine. And we are full swing. And now you have red and blue. Back then it was long hair, short hair,
Right.
or pro-war, not pro-war. And it was like, Jesus, did we not learn anything?
Yeah, it
So,
seems like we haven't.
yeah, this record wasn't that hard to write.
Yeah.
It's kind of writing itself.
Well, you put it that way, yeah, I can see that. Well, anyway, great job on that song, too. And another thing that occurred to me is I know we've been going at this for quite a while, but just a couple more things. Because this record connected so much with me, I was just kind of curious for you, the creator, what kind of a connection are you hoping your fans get out of this? Not only when they hear the record, but also you're going to Europe in a little while, in February and March. What are you hoping their connection will be like?
Just honestly, I can't really. I kind of figured very early on in my career why Baskin Robbins has 32 flavors. Because not everybody likes vanilla, not everybody likes chocolate. I don't really worry about, like, the record's done. I did the record I wanted to do. I gave it to the record label.
Who have to love it.
They absolutely.
Yeah.
But it's like, you know what, dude? Honestly, the one thing I also figured out very early on in my career is you can be as talented as you want. You can do the best you can and blah, blah, blah. And there's just a lot of shit that's out of your control. And I'm sorry, like, even back in the day when we had radio and we had MTV and we had all those things going for us, there was still a massive amount of luck involved.
True. Timing is everything, as they say, right?
Yeah, it is, which is why I named my book Horseshoes and Hand Grenades. My dad's like...
I love that title, by the way.
Yeah, my dad goes, yeah, dude, whatever. You just got to be close. And I've been blessed to be close like 19 times. You know what I mean? Whatever. I still get to play music. I'm still making a living. I still travel the world. So you know what? That's good. I got my health. My family's good. We'll get out of the ice storm 2026. But it's like that's all I can do. So I did the record I want. I hope the record label does their job. I hope at some point, the masses find a song or two or three on this record that they embrace. But you know what? If they don't, there's the next one. I got, hopefully the next one's even better than this one. So
I don't know, John. This could be hard to top.
I don't want to hit the ceiling yet, buddy. I don't want to hit the ceiling yet.
I get that. Then there's only one way to go. I understand.
Exactly.
But no, great record. And then real quick, with the European, so all you guys in Europe, there's plenty of shows coming up in just days from now, really. What's the plan for those live shows? Is this new album going to take center stage, or how you?
Well, maybe to a degree, because I'm obviously leaning most heavy on the new stuff. But we're actually playing some Scream stuff that hasn't seen the light of day for a while. We're playing some Motley stuff. We're doing some Union stuff. I'm going to do a few Dead Daisy songs. And then, we might sit around and go, at rehearsal, man, you know what I haven't heard for a while? Let's do Maybe I'm a Leo, deep track from Deep Purple.
Deep Purple, yeah.
Or Sail Away from the Burn record, you know what I mean? Or whatever. So it's just going to be a little bit of everything. And then we're going to have 5-6 songs from the new album. We're going to try and do a little acoustic break in the middle.
Awesome.
Where the band takes a minute to catch their breath, maybe go get a sip of whiskey or something. And I'll do a couple songs in the middle acoustically, bring them back on and finish the set and call it a day. So
that
a little bit of
like
everything.
It's going to be a great show. Because I know some artists are a little hesitant to play a lot from their newest release. So I'm glad to hear you got plans on sticking maybe 5 songs in from the new album.
Yeah, I mean, I think most of the, the like these clubs, they just want you to play between 75 and 90 minutes.
Right.
Uh, we did a show here December 30th in Nashville. It was just like, let's go play. They called, they asked us to play, so we went and we did a thing, and I learned a bunch of songs. I think we had like 18 or 20 songs that we learned. If we're like, let's mix them up. Like, if we do, you know, two shows that are close together, let's not do the same set. We'll change some things.
Right.
But we literally played for almost 2 hours. I did like 18 or 20 songs. But I go, all right, I want to add a couple more. And then we're going to keep it between 75 and 90 minutes. But I want to give the audience, their money's worth. And another thing, when I did that, I don't know if you know, I did back a few years back, I did the Live 94 record.
Yeah, I have that.
And what's funny? It was advertised as such. John's going to do the the Motley 94 record in its entirety, blah, blah, blah. And I had fans come up. It was a double-edged sword. They go, oh, my God, dude, that was great. I never got to see that tour. It was awesome. I've been waiting 20 years for this. But I'm a little bummed, man. You didn't do any Scream or Union or... So I go, we're doing a couple Motley songs, couple Scream songs, Union, Dead Daisies, new stuff. So a little bit of everything, and then maybe a cover or two. Thank you very much. Good night. See you next year.
Well, I love that. Now, the band going over with you to Europe is the band that you played with at the Basement.
Yes.
The Basement is where you guys played.
Yes.
And that includes Troy Luccketta, formerly of Tesla, on drums. So I believe, and this is where I'm not clear on everybody, a lot of the folks that'll be performing this live were not the same folks that played on the record.
Well, Paul Taylor, he did play some keyboards on a couple of the tracks on the record. And then Marti, obviously.
Right.
Marty's part of my touring band as well.
Okay.
But no, Troy, but everything, again, it just kind of happened this way. It's weird. Paul Taylor, when he did the tracks, he heard a few extra songs. And he's like, fuck, dude, this is great. Well, if you need a keyboard guitar player, I'm done with Winger. We're retiring. So, okay, well, actually, I do. So he came on. I toured with Michael Devin in the Dead Daisies.
Right.
And Michael played with Whitesnake. And I just said, hey, Mike, you're moving to Nashville next year. We got off. If you're not doing anything, I'd love to have you play, if I do some shows. Yeah, dude. And then he heard the record and goes, yes, I love this record. Count me in. Jeremy Osbrock actually played guitar on the Live 94 album.
Uh-huh.
Then he wound up doing the Ace Frehley thing for the last 8 or 10 years. Ace just unfortunately passed away.
Yes.
So I called Jeremy to just give my condolences. And then we started talking. And he goes, hey, dude, I know you're doing a new record, man. If you need a guitar player, I go, well, yeah, actually, I do. So he came back in. And Troy Luccketta and Michael Devin hang out all the time. Troy goes, dude, I love this Corabi stuff. It's great. So I called Troy. He's in. So it's like I got this awesome 6-piece band.
That's great.
And I don't even think I broke a sweat. You know what I mean? It was just...
Doesn't sound like it. It sounds like all the stars just aligned perfectly for you.
Which is why we're going out under the banner John Corabi and Friends. We're all friends. I've known these guys for a gazillion years. So why not?
Well, that's fantastic. So you guys in Europe, you get to see this before anybody else, really, because there's no long-term U.S. thing right now other than that gig in Tennessee, but I'm hoping that
No, there is actually.
Yeah, that's good. That's where I was going with this.
Yeah, so we get back from Europe, and they're still working on stuff as I speak. But we get back from Europe, and there's a bunch of dates I'm doing. I know in May, maybe earlier, but I'm doing a bunch of dates opening for Tom Kiefer.
Nice. Okay.
Here in the States. And then I go back over just literally for like a week and a half. I head back over to Europe, do a couple festivals, and then I come right back and I get started with Tom again.
Good.
But we've got a bunch of dates in May, some in, I believe, in June, some in July.
Awesome.
So their agents are all working together trying to piece stuff, but we'll be doing a bunch of dates with Tom Kiefer, and then on the days that he wants off, I'm probably going to go out and do some headlining shows as well on my own.
Perfect. All right. And so everybody can stay up with the dates as they come together. You're keeping that all up to date at johncorabi.com? Is that
Yes,
a good
sir.
place to go to get the current info?
Actually, yes. As soon as I get off the phone with you, I got to call my social media guys and get them to update because I got a few more dates today to add.
All right. Awesome. All right. Well, before we let you go, just one last question. I know my answer to this question.
I swear I never touched her.
So, New Day, again, coming out April 24th, everybody. Kind of a birthday present almost. This is a couple of days before your birthday.
Well, and it's a good thing it's coming out when it's coming out because on my birthday, I'm actually going to be on a plane to Poland. So celebrating is going to be a little off kilter. So we'll do it a couple days ahead of time.
There you go. So New Day coming out, Frontiers Records. I'm sure you can just go to johncorabi.com. We don't need a million links for you to try to remember. Go there. I'm sure he's got the links because pre-sales are up now. Some vinyl. There's all kinds of different ways to consume this new record when it comes out. But just two last things, and then we'll wrap this up, and then we're going to crank up a song. In your opinion, before I let you go, why do you think people should spend some time with New Day?
It's going to be a little harder for those younger whippersnappers, but I just think the classic rock crowd. I think this is something that I see it every day. All these people are like, fucking AI. All these bands are using loops. All these bands are using tapes, pre-recorded music. This is just a back to the basics, old school 60s, 70s, organic, classic rock record. No frills. I got nothing else to tell you. And I think a bunch of people that appreciate that in itself will love this album.
I love it. I think that is a great answer. And then just before we go, anything you want to say to anybody, to any of your fans that have been with you through every chapter of your career?
I'm sorry. I thank you guys. Honestly, thank you guys for the support. I honestly, I believe I'm going to go down in the Guinness Book of World Records. This is my 19th record. My prior 18, I have 18 consecutive aluminum records. And I want to thank all 13 of you for all the support my entire career.
That's a perfect way to wrap this up. John, always great talking with you, man. Thanks for hanging with us on Radio Bypass.
Thank you for having me, buddy.
My pleasure. All right, everybody. Again, new album, New Day, out April 24th, Frontiers Records. Go to johncorabi.com. If you're watching this rather than listening to it, we'll post some links for you to remind you as well. But get this record. You're absolutely going to love it. I wish I could play the whole thing for you right now, but I can't. But what I can do is crank up the title track. So check this out from John Corabi. Turn it up a little bit more. Here's New Day.